Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And I'm joined today by Aliyah Levin. Aliyah, can you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name's Aliyah Levin, and I'm president of AFGE Local 2391, which we represent the employees who work for the Department of Labor in the Western region of the United States. Hi, Archer.
And
And
hmm,
we have about 1,000 bargaining unit employees, and we cover 8 states in the Western region.
Thank you. Now, you've been working on fighting some of the telework, back to work initiatives by the leadership of the Labor Department. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with fighting some of these initiatives, why you're doing it, why you think telework is a good thing?
Uh, mm, uh, Maybe the word fighting, we have a disagreement with the
Mm,
we had a disagreement with the department over a recent rollout of a telework recall policy to
mhm,
return uh, federal employees into the office 5 days a week, where we had previously negotiated 2 days a week. And so we've been involved in bargaining and other tools available to us to continue the discussion with the department over telework. I think telework has been proven to be a cost-saving mechanism for the government
mhm,
and supportive of work-life balance for employees.
mhm,
And generally, I'm not aware of any negative impact that telework has had in any
mhm,
sphere uh, to any party.
mhm. Now, tell me a little bit more about why the Labor Department wants people to go back to the office 5 days a week. What's the Labor Department leadership's position on that?
Oh, you'd have to ask them. How would I know what they do?
Well, so when they tell you, hey, we want you to go back to the office 5 days a week, do they give you a reason, or is it just kind of like we
Mm,
just want this to happen?
I would imagine it would be management rights.
Hmm. And what do you respond? So what
Oh, yeah.
reasons do you give them for wanting to protect telework?
Yeah.
Let's go a
So
little bit more into that.
I'm not the one that respond to that. So I'm
Mhm.
one of 17 locals within
Mhm.
the country, and we're under a national bargaining council. So our national
Mhm.
bargaining council responds and initiates communication at the national level
Mhm.
and engages the acting secretary. And that's way above my pay grade. But
Mhm.
this local, we are front line. So we are
Mhm.
working with the impact of policies on workers. So
Mhm.
it's the my colleagues, the coworkers, the people that serve the public. That that's who I interface with.
Okay, that helps. So tell me a little bit about why they find telework beneficial. Like, what would be the problem from their perspective and for the citizens' perspective for them to come to the office 5 days a week instead of 2 days a week?
Well, it's not so much a problem per se. It's that we all work, we all put in at least 40 hours a week. And many of us liked going into the office. It's
Hmm.
helpful to be in an office. There's lots of resources there. You develop a strong community, workplace community. But during the pandemic and following the pandemic, we learned and adapted uh, a new type of work that turned out to be more productive.
Hmm.
And it, we adjusted our lives to this
Hmm.
new type of ability to work. And so
Hmm.
it's not so much a problem. It's just that things had changed. And now why go backwards
Hmm.
is kind of the question.
So you say you like going to the office, but you're more productive working remotely. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I think a number of
Mm.
people might feel skeptical about productivity when
Oh,
government workers are working remotely. So tell me a little bit more about how and
yeah,
why you're more productive.
The numbers speak for themselves. So it's just
Mm,
the agency developed a management plan of what they're going to do for that
mm,
year or over a number of years. And it might include, depends on the agency, it might include investigations, it might include compliance audits, it might include
mm,
mine inspections. It depends what they do. And then they might have outreach events or community engagement events. So there's certain metrics that the agency will establish. And all of the things that the agency decides that we need to do uh, get done,
mm,
whether you're teleworking or not, right? And so then you have to ask, well, if it doesn't matter if workers are in the office or not, why pay for office space,
mm.
right?
That makes sense. Now, the government is still retaining the office space, so why do you think the government?
Mm, sort of. We
Okay.
especially in the Western region, we did a massive reduction in size. Like there was
Ah,
thousands of space reduction. And
mm,
so now we have the question of where are we going to go back to? And
mm,
are we all going to fit in the office? Is it going to be a suitable or even um, conducive to working
mm,
environment having such smaller space with that many people back in the office?
mm.
Because it wasn't designed for that. Uh, we thought telework was the future.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're telling me that a lot of office space was let go, and so
Mhm.
that would
Yeah.
be a big concern about where people would go back to.
Yeah, like in my office, we have let's see, I want to say 12 or 6. It's either 12 or 16. I mean, I'm not, I wasn't prepared to provide a response to this idea, but we have 12 or 16 employees in the office, uh, depending on whether you include the regional staff that live down here or not. And we have
Mm.
4 cubicles.
Oh,
Yeah. And so we designed this under the collective bargaining agreement that we have. That's, 2 days a week pay period in the office. And with the embrace of remote work, that was
mm,
also strongly promoted. And it worked. So you could go into the office when you needed to. We have a huge conference room that's shared on the floor when you need
mm,
to have staff meetings. We designed the office space uh, to work for what we thought the work was going to be.
mm.
And so now we're trying to figure out how are we going to get the 12 or 16 people into 4 seats. And there's nothing else.
Mhm.
It's literally like a door, you walk in and there's 4 cubicles. There's
Okay.
no congregation space in our little corner. The conference room is down the hall in a shared space, but like, and there's no reason to go
Mm,
in. Like we don't do collaborative work. We're investigators or auditors. So
mm,
it's it's basically just gonna have a greenhouse effect on the environment, like in traffic, commuting, or if it's
mhm,
gonna cost for parking. I mean, it really, so the question is, how do we make in-office work now?
mm. So for folks who don't know what the union does, specifically your branch, tell us a little bit more about about the kind of activities that you do that will be negatively impacted, presumably, if people are going to the office and there's no space for them to work.
Are you asking what is a union or what we do
What
all
do you
day?
do? Yeah, what do you all day so that people understand a little bit more about the kind of impact that this return to office initiative that seems like it would negatively impact productivity would have? Like what kind of impact it will have?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what kind of impact it will have. Um, the idea would be that well, the problem right now is how are we going to make this work? So
Yep.
un- until we figure out what our options are and choose a pathway
Mhm.
to, and then evaluate how it worked, I won't know how it works. But I don't understand your question. Can you
Sure,
rephrase?
of course. So what do you actually do all day?
Oh,
What do you, yeah.
okay. So in within our union,
Mhm.
so I have executive board of 9 officers, and then I have about 50 stewards to service the 1,000+ bargaining unit employees, and we're all volunteers. So it's like we're elected, the officers are elected into our positions by our membership. And but we also have our agency duties that we were hired for under the Department of Labor. So we get assigned work from our manager to do the mission of the agency, and then in a limited amount of time, reasonable limited amount of time, we're able to fulfill the obligations of being a labor union and negotiating workplace conditions and helping people out when they have employment-related issues. Labor unions use their collective bargaining agreement as their roadmap of rights and responsibilities to enforce and follow. So we've tried to make sure everyone's following what we agreed to follow or to do.
And so if you agree to follow the 2 days a week kind of in the negotiations, I'm not really clear on how the department leadership has the power to say, come back to the office 5 days a week. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's happening?
I'm not really clear about all that too, because you don't have to be a lawyer to be a union rep or a union participant. And often lawyers have disputes over what words mean and the application of law. But within the collective bargaining agreement, oftentimes language is loose or vague or widely applicable, and you lean on past practice or reasonableness or what was generally understood when it was negotiated. Or if you can't agree, then a third party adjudicator will decide for you at some later time if you challenge the other side's opinion.
Okay, well, that helps. So it's good. So it's kind of sounds like that's a disagreement about the contract wording. Now, you told me earlier in the interview that people built their lives around the expectation of remote work. So what kind of an impact will this 5 days a week have on people's lives? Help me a little bit understand that.
Well, it would be highly individual, the impact. So depends on the individual. The feedback that we're getting is that it's ranging from a minor discomfort to like catastrophic and totally unworkable. It depends on the person. Some people have medical issues, and some people have caretaking issues, and some people have fear of illness issues, and some people have expenses related to commuting, which is not the department's problem, but it's still a life impact. That so, and several people, many, I would say maybe a third or more, were hired during the pandemic, so they've known nothing but remote work or
a third. Wow.
at least, highly supportive telework schedule. So this would be a total new existence for them.
How many people do you think, if it's catastrophic and unworkable, would you have retention issues with?
Well, that might be part of the department strategy. Who's to say? Maybe, I mean, who's to say if this isn't a reduction in force, just one more way to do it. I have no idea. So your question was, what would be the impact of like attrition or people leaving for
Yeah,
this?
like, yeah, how many people do you think realistically, based on your conversations with folks, what percentage of people might leave as a result?
Oh, well, generally with changes in administration, there's an ebb and flow of the
Mhm.
size of the workforce anyway. Like, and especially with our budgetary cycles, it's
Mhm.
either feast or famine. Like,
Mhm.
they'll hire, and then it'll be years before they rehire, and then they'll hire, and then different initiatives. You know, Congress funds the agency, so depends on what the other branches do,
Mhm.
on what the agencies are able to do. So, like sometimes they have a veterans initiative hiring or a student hiring or a, so it depends. But you're asking like, how will the implementation of telework or even having no telework
Mhm.
impact retention?
Yeah.
I don't, I think it will impact it significantly.
Mhm. And so how will it impact the Department of Labor's work? Like, what do you think might happen that citizens will notice, that people who are outside the Department of Labor will notice? So there will be less protection, labor rights. Tell me a little bit more about the kind of disruption it would have for people's lives so that there's a little bit more context for people.
Do, well, do you think people notice what government workers do? I mean, like in terms of like if someone were paying attention, they could look at the data and they can
Mhm.
see, like, let's just take, I don't know, pick any Department of Labor agency. There, just as a citizen in America, I would be able to see like, um, I don't know, let's say OSHA,
Mhm.
and how many complaints they got or whistleblowing concerns or safety issues, or they make sure American workers are safe and have safe
Mhm.
workplaces. And so there might be a decrease in um, like quality audits, or
Mhm.
um, there might be an increase in workplace injuries or
Mhm.
incidences. Someone would have to analyze the numbers
Mhm.
and look at it and see if there's a problem.
Okay. So it sounds like the impact of this, well, if people do have the mandate of returning to the office 5 days a week, would be a decrease in the effectiveness of the Department of Labor's activities, for example, in the kind of safety that American workers experience. So it'll be
I
more
can't say that. I can't say that. Like, I don't think telework will decrease, uh, or removal of telework will decrease productivity. The employees of the Department of Labor, or like my colleagues are dedicated, like public servants
Oh,
who,
I'm saying if there are less people if
if they're
there's
less
from
people, less will
retention.
could be done. But
Mm.
that doesn't mean like, I don't know if there's a correlation between the ability to do less and the increase in incidences. So we would have to look at that.
Mhm.
I'm I I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, this
Like,
has been
someone would
great.
have to look at the numbers. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So this has been very helpful. Are there any last words that you wish to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Well, hope that you're able to continue your mission of supporting American workers and helping people to have positive experiences and positive work experiences.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that, Aliyah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a good day.
Mhm. And thank you to the audience for checking out another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps others discover the show and helps us improve the show.